So the next thing I remember is waking up in the ICU. Hey everyone, welcome to my new channel, Get Real with Camille. Before I get into why I started a new channel and what you can expect from this channel, I wanted to do a bit of a story time to let you know or let you in on how I got to this space today. So before I get started, let me introduce myself. Hello again, everyone. I am Camille. I am a wife and mom of 4. At this taping, I have a 16, 12, 9, and 8-month-old. We live in the Midwest, and we're also a homeschooling family. I've been homeschooling since 2013, so we're starting year 11 in the fall. So I've been on YouTube here and there for over a decade. My most recent and my longest running channel is The Intuitive Homeschooler. A lot of you probably found me through there, so I'm glad you're over here on this channel now. So this channel is not going to be anything like my Intuitive Homeschooler channel. It's going to be more personal, more reflective. And I'll share a little bit more or a lot more about that later on in this video. But first, I wanted to just introduce myself in case you are new, and welcome in case you are coming from other necks of the woods where we have met before. So I'm going to take you back to last year, 2023, where I found out that I was expecting my 4th child. I was turning 43, and it was a very unexpected, wonderful experience to be having another baby after a long time. So if you know anything about pregnancy or you've been pregnant in your 40s, that is a very surreal experience if you've had babies prior to, I believe, 35, because that's the age they consider you old. You are a old mom, and there's even diagnoses talking about elderly, and you're basically an old mom. So they treat you very different, very more hands-on at least in my experience with just Western medicine, regular OBGYNs. So throughout the pregnancy, I went all the time. I had way more visits than I ever had during any of my previous pregnancies. And so it was a high risk pregnancy. I did have some complications, but everything kind of resolved itself and everything was going fine. So because of my age, they didn't want me to go past 39 weeks. So that was the end of November of last year. And so I went in for my ultrasound, which I had tons of ultrasounds. I had like 8 to 10 ultrasounds during the pregnancy. So you normally have 2, maybe. So I had a lot of ultrasound. In the last ultrasound, they noticed some cloudy substance in the uterus, and so they said, well, you're very close to 39 weeks. In fact, I was just past 39 weeks. I was 39 weeks in one day. And so they said, it's time, let's induce you and get this baby out. So the day that they said, okay, this is the day you're going to meet your son, I was excited, I was nervous, but I was ready because we had gone through a lot with the pregnancy, and I was ready to meet my baby. So they induced me, they got me hooked up with everything and everything inserted and everything, and my labor started. Almost immediate contractions came, and I was able to manage them better than I had ever done before. I was breathing, I was focused, everything was going according to plan. It was going quickly like I thought it would. So at some point, I felt like I needed to push. And normally with my experience, that's when I'm 10 and I'm 10 centimeters, I'm ready to go. In this case, I was only 6.5. And so things got really tense in the birthing room. And so we got to about 6.5, and I just felt this overwhelming need to push, and I couldn't stop myself. And so the doctor was, trying to get me to stop, and she was checking me. At some point, I couldn't stop myself, and the baby's heart was slowing down. He was having decelerations, and, it was getting to a critical level where the doctor called a C-section. So of course, when you get pregnant, a C-section is always going to be on the table at some level. But in my experience, I never never thought that would be the case, but I was okay with it. You have to do what you have to do when you're in labor and your child is having complications. So we went back to the operating room, and that's when everything changed. So once I was on the table, my husband was there, and the doctor, instead of just going ahead with the C-section, you know, setting me up, whatever, because it was an emergency at that point, she kept having me push. And I'm not sure why she did that, because if you say you need a C-section, you just need to do it. I mean, I would think, you know, protocol would say you just need to get it done. The baby's having problems. You need to get it done. But, you know, I wasn't in my right mind to advocate for myself. My husband didn't know what to do. So I just kept pushing, and I guess I wasn't pushing it fast enough or effectively enough. And so the last thing I remember hearing was that, you know, he's dying. And I was knocked out. And so from there, my life changed. It just changed completely. So the next thing I remember is waking up in the ICU. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know what happened with my baby. I didn't know where I was. I was just completely confused and just not sure what was going on. I was actually intubated, so I couldn't talk and communicate. People were coming in and out. I have never been in the hospital outside of having my other babies, and that was a standard regular delivery for each one of those, 2 days, and I was up and out of there. But being in ICU was very alarming because I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I had no clue. Nobody was really telling me much. People were coming in and out, and it was just a lot to deal with, obviously. So I was in the ICU for probably about 4 or 5 days. I don't know, you know, if you've ever been in the hospital long term, you don't really know what day it is and what's going on. So I think I was in there, I don't think I was in there a week, but I could have been, I don't remember, at least 4 or 5 days. They were very great. I got to know the nurses, obviously. And it was just really a mind-blowing experience, because all I was supposed to do was go in and have my baby, and here I am literally fighting for my life. What I ended up finding out was that I had basically lost the majority of my blood. Like, I bled out, and they had to replace, like, they had like 7-8 bags of blood, you know, doing transfusions when I was on the table. And my son didn't have enough oxygen, so he ended up having to go to the children's hospital, and he spent almost 2 weeks there just making sure that he was okay. And luckily everything's fine with him, and he was able to come home before I was. But from the day that I went in to the day I was done at hospitals, it was a total of 6 weeks. We were not prepared for that. I was prepared for maybe 3 or 4 days. If I had to have a C-section, maybe 5. I was not prepared to be away from my home for 6 weeks. What ended up happening was that I had a placenta accreta. And if you're not familiar, it's basically when part of the placenta and the uterus grow together in a certain spot. Mine was not so invasive that it went into other organs or other areas of the body that can happen too. But when those two huge blood supplies join, and you take aspirin, and you have emergency C-section, and you're pushing and things like that, that's where the trauma happened. That's where the blood loss happened, and that's where I almost died on the table. So being in the hospital was an experience I hope I never have to go through again. I was not able to walk for weeks. I was not able to take a shower or to bathe or to clean myself. I was not able to really breathe well. I wasn't able to talk for a long time without getting like my breath was I just couldn't catch my breath to really talk. I basically had to relearn how to do everything. I couldn't use the bathroom on my own. Nothing. Everything was taken away from me, and I was just stuck. I couldn't see my baby. I didn't see my baby for 2 weeks. When I saw him, I just couldn't. I just felt such relief, but I felt sad because I missed out on 2 weeks of his life, the first 2 weeks, and it prevented me from breastfeeding. I breastfed both of my other three children, I should say, and I couldn't do that. It just took away so much from me, and for him too. I was afraid that he wouldn't, know who I was. Like, our bond wouldn't be there, and my other children were at home, just confused, and it was just the most horrible thing I've ever experienced. So in total, like I mentioned, I was in the hospital, 3 different hospitals actually, for a total of 6 weeks. The first 3 weeks I was in one hospital, recovering from the blood loss. I didn't even mention this, all my organs, started shutting down, and my kidneys especially were affected. They were not working for the first probably 2 weeks of me being there, and so I had to have dialysis. Never ever would I have thought I would have to have dialysis. I have scars from having ports put in. I had so many so many blood draws, so many shots, so many doctors, so many interns. So it just became just this wheel of medicine, and just feeling helpless, but knowing, at the end of the day, I have to get home. I have to get home to my baby. I have to get home to my children. I gotta get my life back. So the first 3 weeks, I was just recovering from that. And I came home around Christmas. So my son was born on November 30th. I came home like December 21st or something like that. So it was right before Christmas, or 22nd, somewhere around there. And I was able to celebrate Christmas, but I could not do anything. I just, I was either in the bed, or if I did make it downstairs, because stairs, like, if you've never lost your ability to walk, or your muscles have wasted away because you couldn't move them, it is an ordeal going up and down stairs. That's like one of the worst, things to try to do, because there's a lot of coordination, a lot of core work. You just can't just get up and do it. You have to relearn it. So I was mostly in my room, because my bedroom's upstairs, but I was able to spend Christmas in a chair. But it was exhausting. Everything was exhausting. I couldn't hold my baby too long, because it was just too exhausting. But I had a home health nurse come, and she would do blood draws and check me out like a couple times a week, I think, or once a week, I can't remember. But one time she did that. This is after Christmas. This is closer to New Year's. One time she came, and she took some blood and she sent it in, and it came back that I was anemic. So the doctor told me to go to the ER, and I need a blood transfusion. Obviously, this is not something I wanted to do, but I thought it was, just straight up. Obviously, everything, every body mineral deficient, I had everything. So rebuilding that, and I get it. They let me come home because I had gotten to reasonably normal levels, but I was very low on the range of normal. So okay, I went to this other hospital that was closer to my house, and I thought it would just be an in and out, few hours maybe, but I ended up getting admitted because I was septic, and I did not know. I had no, they didn't prepare me to look for any signs of being septic, and what it turned out to be, I had a 20 centimeter mass in my abdomen that sent me back to the hospital. So I was admitted there, and I stayed there for about a week, and then they they didn't have the doctors to help me at that hospital. So they sent me to another hospital where I spent the next week and a half, and I ended up having to have these procedures to drain the mass. I was having all these different, it was just so much. It was just so much. But I knew that, just like when I was in the hospital the first time, like, I'm doing all this because I'm getting out of here, and I'm going to be, healthy again at some point, and I'm going to be able to do the things that I did before and more, and be there for my kids. So every day I tried a little bit harder to get up and do things. As soon as I did that, everything changed. Do whatever was going on, I just was adamant. Like, I need a timetable. I need to know when I can get out of here, what I need to do to get out of here. So I did. I was still weak. I still had things going on. I still had to follow up, of course, to make sure the mass was shrinking and going away. I was on such high levels of steroids and blood thinners. I ended up having clots in my arm. The will to live is so strong. And for me, it wasn't an option. I couldn't leave. I had to be here for my kids and for myself, for whatever else I'm supposed to do here. So that's the gist of the story. I know it was long, but when you go through something like that and you come out the other side, it's life-changing, and you can't really summarize it. You kind of just have to tell your story. And if you've made it this long, thank you for staying with me. And I hope things are making sense, because it's trying to relive this now. I got out. That was the 18th of January is when I finally came home. It was the day after my second son's birthday. And ever since then, I have been on a path of trying to get back to normal and then get better. So that's where this channel picks up. So I'm turning 44 today. Today is my birthday. And going through what I went through just showed me that I have to live life according to what's important to me, not take things for granted and think I have more time, because you don't know when you're going to leave here. I really also want to get real with myself. I really want to just live the life that I deserve, and I deserve the best. And so that's what I'm after, and I want to chronicle that on this channel. So what you can expect from the channel is weekly videos. I hope to do like day in the life videos, share with you my health and wellness journey. And another thing I want to share is my journey back to getting my business going again. Last year was one of the busiest years that I ever had with my business, the Intuitive Homeschooler. And I want to just pick back up. I did a podcast last year. I opened an academy last year. Was that last year? Yes, I think it was last year or the year before that. I can't remember. It was a blur. But I want to pick that back up and really branch out and do some new interesting things in the homeschooling space. So I want to take you behind the scenes to let you know, what it's like for me trying to relaunch a business that I'm so passionate about, that was kind of taken away from me for a long time, almost a year now. So I want to, show that journey, because I don't normally see that side of things. So that's definitely something that I will share here on this channel. So that is it. I know this is a long video. This journey had to be shared the way it is. I thank you for watching. If you made it this far, leave me a comment below to let me know who you are, and let me know if you've ever experienced anything like a near-death experience or anything like that. I think they're very, fascinating. I guess it's a little bit morbid to think that way, but if you've ever experienced it and you've come out on the other side, obviously, it's something to share. I don't think it's something to hide. So I would love to know if that's something that you've experienced, and what you're looking forward to or want to see on this channel. So if you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you hit the bell for notifications, because I do plan on doing weekly videos. All right, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.